This is Mary Home 32, a boat which we bought at auction only a couple of weeks ago that's going to serve as our temporary home while we carry out a refit of our Oyster 39, our main project and home for many years to come. If you want to learn more about that project, watch our previous videos. It's only been a few days since we stepped on board by Vind for the first time. Even more exciting part of that story is that she's in Norway and now we need to bring her home to England. We are getting to know her as we go, while we get to experience only a tiny fraction of what Norway has to offer. It's absolutely spectacular, and we know it's a place we want to return to one day. So we leave Hellerstedt Marina and make our way south. We make a stop at Lervik on Stord Island, which will be our only stop before we venture out across the North Sea. For some reason, one thing I always remember about a place we make a stop at are the facilities at the marina. And the ones in Lervik definitely stand out. Not only they are very modern, but also as you walk into the bathroom, a music starts to play. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose it, so dance music it is while in the shower. I guess it could be worse. So funny thing, we thought there's no fuel pontoon because on all the legends for the marina on their website it doesn't actually mention that there is a fuel pontoon. So the boys actually carried all the diesel from the nearest petrol station, which is not too far, but carrying those canisters full of diesel is not an easy task, I suppose. And yeah, they did. We only found out when they were carrying it here, and one guy from the marina stopped them and said there is actually one close by that you can, much closer, where you can fill up. Yes, you live, you learn, and sometimes you gotta make a fool out of yourself in the process. How's things?
So we have a full tank and 3 20-liter cans of diesel as a spare. Be ready to go.
Yeah. It looked like we had a good window to head across the North Sea later that day.
Yeah, right? It's warm.
With some good wind, we quickly leave Lervik behind.
We are making 5.5 to 6 knots at times. It's blowing only what, 17? 18, 19 knots roughly, and yeah, we're making very good speed.
We take a last look at Norway, wave goodbye, and while the night draws in, we sail out to the open sea. We don't have to wait long before we encounter our first very bright set of lights, an oil rig. You are bound to come across one when sailing the North Sea, as they are scattered almost everywhere, and you cannot miss it since they are gigantic and very well lit.
Our new best friend, another part of the crew. We haven't used it for the first couple of days. We weren't even sure it's working, but it is working. We can relax a little bit more. So for the most part we have been actually motoring only today.
we are sailing. We've got about 91 miles to Peterhead. Having an autopilot or any type of self-steering system is an absolute luxury. Even though it is our first time that we are sailing using this device, this brilliant device, we get used to it in no time. Now I can see why so many people love it so much, or name it a crucial member of the crew.
About 9 to 10 hours ago, the weather changed. I hope it's just passing now.
The anemometer on Bivind, the device typically found on top of the mast that measures wind speed, doesn't work. We're quite unlucky with them because on Squalo it didn't work either, so we measured the wind speed with the handheld one. After we put the second reef in the main, Ziggy was at the mast and I was in the cockpit hoisting the main, and with the non-self-tailing winch I have to say I struggled to winch it and tail it at the same time to get the main as tight as possible. And as you can clearly see here, shame on me. This is not what a properly hoisted main should look like.
So let's have a look inside. Patrick is sleeping inside for last 9 hours.
We are in Peterhead, safe and sound. We are so glad that we are here. We reached the marina yesterday.
We did a passage from Norway to Scotland on the North Sea with pretty new boat. Most of you probably would say we're crazy, but we did all the checks, everything was supposed to be checked, you know. It was fine, almost fine. I think the biggest problem on that passage was a shaft seal. It was a bit more water than you will normally expect, basically.
We were worried along the way that as we run the engine, and we did run the engine for a bit, that the more we run it, the more of a chance of the seal
it basically will get
breaking completely.
More wear and tear.
Yeah.
But coming back to the weather was bad in the last day, because we checked weather so many times. We were preparing and we were looking for a nice good window, and that good window was starting on Tuesday, where we left, and the weather's supposed to be really nice till Saturday, but
the weather has shifted.
But the weather shifted a little bit sooner than we expected, and last 24 hours were quite difficult.
He didn't sleep. Did you sleep? You didn't sleep when you got up about 9 in the evening?
Yeah, something like that.
And then we got here the next day
3:30 afternoon.
So that whole time he was awake in the cockpit, and yeah, it was a tough one. It was a tough, not a tough crossing, you know, altogether, because the first 3 days were okay, but the last 24 hours it was not smooth sailing. Actually, there were a couple of moments that I was scared. I was down below and I could hear the waves hitting her left and right and center, and she was banging, going up and down, and then again wave on the side, and the sound of cracking almost. I felt like the hull is gonna crack at some point, that she's not gonna handle it. Literally, it just felt the sounds down below were scary on their own. I don't know, that's how it felt for me. I felt a little bit scared. We had auto helm on, but the only time you had to take over was the last 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
It was really hard work, isn't it, to steer. Ziggy said that in comparison to our wheel that we have on Squalo, tiller proved to be slightly harder in those conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, especially because there is nothing there. It's just a tiller. You're just moving your rudder left to right, and you have to use a lot of power.
The boat handled it well.
Yeah, passage was nice. It was really
Overall,
nice.
yeah. Overall, we made it. We know her a little bit better. We are pretty happy with her, actually.
She's a
Looking
strong
back,
lady,
she's strong. She's
strong lady. I would say she's a nice surprise. She's a nice surprise.
Mary Holm, 32. Today we are all working in the upside down. Patrick, upside down. And Zygmunt, upside down. But it looks like the shaft seal, although not totally fixed 100%, Ziggy has applied some grease and that made it much better. He switched the engine on to check how it's going with the vibration of the engine and the shaft turning. So and it was not spitting so much water as before. He said before he applied the grease, it was like from the tap, like running from the tap. And you can see the result of it, how much we've got. We've got about 70 or even, I would say, even 80 liters of liquid sitting in our bilges. So I'm glad we are getting rid of it. You might be asking a question why we are not pumping it out using an automatic bilge pump. Well, because it's just another thing that we find that doesn't work. Since there's no chandlery inside, we cannot get a replacement pump. So we manually remove all that water the shaft seal had allowed to enter the boat. We've done it on Squalo. And I'm having déjà vu. Mam 250 kg maximum. 250 kg. Nice story, yeah? Bye bye, bilge oil.
The VHF is not working, and I think I find the reason why it was not working. Cable is quite old, and they I think they just damaged somewhere between the radio and the speaker.
Because the radio is connected to these speakers here. Can you see them? No. So basically there are external speakers in the cockpit, and the radio was connected to those speakers because even though the radio is new, internal speaker didn't work from the start. But now Ziggy fixed it. What would we do without you?
So I don't really like these older items on the boat because they fail. It's difficult to repair them quickly. But right now it's the best solution which we have. We're lucky we had a solder on a boat, so let's use it. Okay.
Sven, kom een bucket 2 mails, please.
Another success.
Patrick's holiday has come to an end, so just the two of us leave Peterhead. For me, every time we set off, it's like I've never been at sea before, and I need to find my sea legs all over again. So the first couple of days tend to be hard, mostly for Ziggy, since I rely on him quite a lot. He will stay on watch longer if I need to sleep the seasickness off, or he will stay down below to cook, and I cannot thank him enough for that. If you have a partner that suffers from seasickness, you know what I'm talking about.
A big depression system was forecasted to hit the southeast of England on the day we were supposed to reach Vanbridge, but it came a bit sooner. We decided to head towards shelter, and we found one in Lowestoft, historically an important fishing town. The sea was very choppy, and it made port entry quite challenging. We radioed the yacht club only to find that they had no spaces left in the marina. But there was no way we were going back out there, so we moored alongside a pontoon where for some reason there was plenty of space available. It turned out it was privately owned and was used only by the RNLI lifeboat and a historical boat open to visitors. We were allowed to stay there free of charge with access to water and electricity until the weather passes. We were so grateful, and the least we could do is to make a donation to both charities to reciprocate their kind gesture. We can't say much about Lowestoft since we mostly stayed on the boat, but one thing I can say is that the majority of residents there must consist of seagulls. The day the weather improved, we continued on our journey home.
The entrance to Lowestoft was very, very narrow, about 50 meters, maximum 50 meters. And we had wind and waves behind us, so they were sort of pushing us. And we were surfing on those waves, and one big wave, gone wrong, and we would land on the harbour entrance wall. So luckily we didn't. As soon as we got into the yacht club, we tied up to the pontoon, and literally I burst into tears. And I said, I did not sign up for this. Screw this. It's not for me. I don't want to do it again. You can imagine I was pretty scared.
Yet here I am again.
It was rough there. It was rough, but nothing what we could not handle. We managed, which is the most important thing. We are on the beginning of our last straight passage to North Vanbridge, which is about 100 miles from Lowestoft. I'm just worried right now we might not have enough wind and we will have to motor most of this passage.
But it's always like that.
It is.
It's either you have no wind or you have too much wind.
That's true. It's difficult to find a perfect spot. To be honest with you, I'm happy with everything. Everything went in the last 2 weeks. Yes, we came across some problems, but we actually managed to solve most of them. I think the biggest one was we had a key accident. I stepped on the key and I broke the key. And right now our key is just basically a screwdriver. We'll be fine till Vanbridge, and there we can fix that small problem. The other problem was the engine was overheating. We didn't know why. We make all the checks. I even changed the impeller for a new one. We check, if the water is coming out. We check the coolant. Everything was fine, and the engine still was overheating. But the problem was there was one of the there was one of the switch which was broken, like in the past, and we didn't know that switch is actually from a secondary pump, which is electrical 12-volt pump. I fixed that one out as well, so there is no more problem with overheating. There's a lot of small problems as well, like VHF. I have to disassemble the AIS transducer, which actually I don't know if it's actually working at all. So instead going to the top of the mast and check the VHF antenna there, we use the antenna from AIS, which is a second antenna on our solar arch. It seems like it's working fine right now. It's enough for coastal cruising, which we're doing right now.
I didn't get any footage from the beginning of our passage from Peterhead. I was severely seasick, and Ziggy stayed up most of the time to let me sort of sleep and rest and recover and sort of get my sea legs, which I finally did after a couple of days, which was terrible. It was the last thing I could think about. It was recording. And same thing goes for when weather turns bad. I don't really think about recording, catching it on camera. Which sometimes is a shame because I would like to show you guys what's happening and what it looks like. Sorry, but recording was not on my mind at that time. 2 years ago we came along this river with Squalo and brought her to Fambridge Marina. Today we are bringing by wind yet another boat. Are we mad or what?
Thank you for being here and watching our videos. We hope you enjoy our content, and if you do, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.